Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you the new Adobe Firefly tools within Photoshop. So the new Photoshop beta now has the generative fill option. This was before found on the Adobe Firefly website if you had access to it, but now it is in the public beta. Today I'll be showing off all the features within the new beta app. First things first, before using the beta you need to download it, so make sure you go ahead and open Creative Cloud. Once that's opened, you'll see on the all apps, you can't download beta apps from here. You can see your current apps, but on the sidebar, click on beta apps and then download from there. I already have it installed, so I'm just going to go ahead and open it. So the first demo I'm going to do is with this photo I took in Kanyakumari, India. So the basics of generative fill is that it's an AI-based Adobe Firefly fill tool, similar to Content Aware, except it works much better. So go ahead and click the edit menu after selecting something and then generative fill. Here you'll come up with a prompt box where you can enter what you want to replace it with and then just hit generate. So first I'm going to try a castle as a prompt and then generate that. It does take a couple minutes to generate since it needs to send the prompt to the web and then get it back. But once it's back, you can see it produces a pretty good result. This example is a little bit different since the lighting is off from the angle from which it's on, but I also found out that the ship prompt for this photo works pretty well, which I'll be trying next. So once again, I'm going to select the subject and then click the edit and then generative fill. From here, I'm going to type in just ship and then generate. You can see here on the side panel that multiple options will generate. You can cycle through them and see which works best for what you're trying to create. I think the first one looked best since the lighting matched the scene the most. And the blending is pretty good. So you can see as you change between the two, the blending between the background and the new object generated matches it as well. So you can see the clouds changing and the pattern of the sky. Something else that you might want to try with generative fill is subject removal. So normally you would use content aware fill and then just hit apply and use that and then do minor tweaks from there. You can see the results here are not that great since the clouds don't blend as well, but you can try the same with the generative fill and you'll get much better results now. For some tasks when using generative fill, you don't need to actually include any prompt. It can just hit generate and it'll know to remove the subject. So as you can see here, it also comes up with different versions as well. Some with more clouds, some with less, and different blending styles. I like the one with the least clouds in the middle, so I'm going to select that one. Then as you can see, comparing it to content aware fill, it does a much better job. Now here's a picture of the moon with a little bit less complicated subject removal and change style. So with generative fill, it's pretty easy to do it here, but one of the most difficult things is that the lighting match will be pretty different. Also, generating things like objects that you know how it should look might be different since AI does not know exactly what Mars should look like. Obviously, Mars doesn't have any rings, so it doesn't know that this is the correct. Next, you can see a little bit more difficult scene here, with the background being blurred and the subject being more of a cutout. So I'm going to replace this with a bald eagle, and you can see here it does a pretty good job with the first result. But going through it, you can see the second one is also good, but the third one has weird artifacts and the AI didn't do a good job generating the eagle well. In my opinion, I think the second one looks best, so just going through and selecting which one looks best is how to use this tool. Another cool feature of the generative fill is that I can change specific things within a picture. So for example, I'm going to select my hoodie here and then change its color using generative fill. Now while I could do this by just selecting the hoodie and then changing the color using the fill tool or brushes, generative fill can change the entire clothing piece. So as you can see, it's a completely different hoodie and different colors and variations are also generated. to the photo, you can see that I did a pretty excellent job blending the background and having a perfect cutout with the new generated hoodie. Another demo I'm going to do is selecting my shoes and seeing if we can change those. Sometimes selecting a bigger area of selection does make it harder for it to do replacements. So here I asked it to generate new sneakers for me, but as you can see, it didn't do a very good job since the perspective is off and the sizing is also off. Also, if you zoom in closer, you can see the laces also look kind of weird, and especially on the third one, it looks the most normal, but when zooming out, you can see that it's way too big on me. Another cool feature of the generative fill is generating the background. So here you can actually extend the background of the bridge here. So if I want to see more of it to the left and right, I can just extend the canvas and then use generative fill in the empty areas to fill it in. So first, just make sure you select the background and then select the area you want to fill. Once again, just like with the background removal, you don't need to enter a prompt to generate a new background. So here you can see it did a pretty good job with the lines of the bridge, but the seam between the original image and the generated one is not that great. That can be fixed with blending or a healing tool or something, but otherwise it looks pretty good with the blending. And you can do the same to the other side as well. Once again, I did a pretty good job with the lines of the pole in the background, but you can see the blending between the new and the original is pretty weird. The sky in the top and the concrete at the bottom does look pretty good though. Finally, one of the coolest features of the generative fill is completely changing the background you're in. So you can first start by selecting the subject and selecting the background by doing Ctrl-Shift-I. And then instead of deleting it with content aware fill or just a blank background, you can use generative fill and generate a new scene. So I'm going to generate a street in Tokyo and then see how it looks. As you can see, it did a pretty good job around my legs, although it's a little bit blurry near the shoes, but it was my fault with the background, the square background where I selected the hoodie, since I didn't merge the layers beforehand. But you can see that it does a pretty good job and the image does look pretty sharp. You can also change certain parts of the new scene as well by selecting it, just like we did before. So I'm going to replace this with a new cherry blossom tree, and as you can see, it does look pretty sharp when zoomed in and all the details are there. So that's the video. If you have any questions about Photoshop beta or the generative AI, leave them down in the comments below.